Hello and welcome to another Coach Pupil League Season 8 cast. This is NiteKat and I will be your host today. My first cast for the Season 8. It is great to have CPL back. Currently, preseason has ended, so typically the league structure, there are 2 weeks of preseason, followed by team selection, and then there is like a week for the teams to get acquainted or so, and then we have our regular season games to start. So the 2 weeks of preseason have played out. There have been casts of the preseason week 1. You can catch those on the various casters' channels as VODs, or you can catch them on the Coach Pupil League YouTube channel. Just go ahead and search that up. Also on the screen right now, there is a QR code that should lead to the CPL YouTube. We're trying to be a lot more vigilant on getting the casts up on the YouTube this season, and also the backlog of Season 7 casts should be going up there as well. So if you want to catch the action from Season 7, most of the casts did survive and should be getting up onto that YouTube over time. Now what we're going to be watching today is Group 15 from Week 2. So I just picked a group at random. Group 15 is the one that won. So we're going to be looking at some games from Mazer, iamsacul, Alyssa, Effay, and NicePants. So I think we're going to have some cool games on this. And the map for Week 2, so the preseason games are all best of 1. Week 1 was all on Polypoid. Week 2 is all on Eclipse. So every game is going to be taking place on that awesome, fun 2-player map Eclipse. So without further ado, I think we're going to go ahead and get into our first game here. So game number 1. We are watching Mazer versus iamsacul, with Mazer spawning, or with iamsacul rather, spawning as the red Protoss here at the top right of the map. And we've got Mazer spawning as the yellow Terran down in the bottom left. So Terran versus Protoss on Eclipse is a matchup that Artosis really loves to complain about. Although, I think in the ASF he was saying it was also a very interesting map for the matchup as well. So I find Eclipse to be pretty fun for Terran versus Protoss. There's a lot of different, like, well-defined lanes that the two players can use to reach each other. But for Terran, I think there's a small advantage in that there's no, like, additional mains that the Protoss can take over to just slam down gates. So typically, the Protoss production is trapped in this one main, and if you're able to contain it, that can be a big boon for you. It can also be difficult to take your third on the map, though, as Terran, just depending on how aggressive the Protoss wants to play, and if they really want to play hard into that third denial. Especially to, like, so there's 2 bases in the bottom right here. There's, like, one here and one over here-ish. And they're just not easy to take for Terran with a mech army. So it's almost always, if you're down at the bottom left as Terran, you're going to be taking the base that's like right above the main, like right around here as your third, which is still a little bit awkward to take because there's just sort of like, there's just multiple lanes, and as we'll see the scout coming out here, there's just multiple lanes that the Protoss can take to get to you, so there's just a wide range that you kind of got to cover defensively, and it can be really hard to do that, especially if Protoss is going very unit heavy and just charging in. If you don't have enough stuff to hold it, well, then you're going to be in trouble. This scout we can see from the Terran is just looking around, making sure that there are no proxy gateways or any sort of G's coming at them before they go ahead up into the main of the Protoss player here. Protoss player, meanwhile, has their gateway. They're getting their core. No scout from them, which, I mean, on a 2-player map is not necessarily a bad thing because you know where your opponent is. But it's usually still good to scout just to make sure that you're, keeping your opponent honest, making sure that they are not doing anything like a proxy barracks or something themselves that Terran can potentially do, or like a barracks supply or something like that. The first zealot is out on the map, so I'm just looking to see here, is it going to go toward the Terran, which it is indeed. It's going through the middle path here. Meanwhile, Terran is going to be keeping an eye on the Protoss base here, wants to see that, yes, indeed, range is spinning. Keep an eye on the pylon count, which is another key indicator for the Terran player. If there aren't 3 pylons by the time that there should be 3 pylons, then that could indicate a proxy. The Terran is throwing down the bunker. When this zealot comes in, the zealot probably could have caused a bit of trouble there, but decides to back off instead, which will allow this bunker to maybe finish here. The thing is, 1 zealot against 3 marines can be tricky to micro, but sometimes if you get down here, like as the Terran has just moving their marines and is getting the bunker, you can cause some chaos because they don't have that defensive setup like they did here, right, with the barracks and the depot, where they can run, where the marines can dodge in between the buildings, but the zealots can't chase into them. But it's perfectly fine for the Protoss to decide, you know what, I'm just going to back up, I'm just going to play safe, I'm going to check that there's nothing here where I want to take my third. They're going ahead and taking their expansions, just very safe play out of them. It looks like they are going for 1 gate robo play here, so we'll see, are they going to be going for an observatory out of that, are they going for Reaver play, and I think we'll see that based on, when this finishes up. Will we see a shuttle? What are we going to see come out, right? Now, that SCV, it gets blocked by the probe. Almost got in there to check out what's going on, but did get to see that this natural is done. And really, the Terran at some point, sometime soon here, needs to be getting an eBay, I think, unless they're going to try and defend with... No, actually, they do get a vulture in. Just barely lives thanks to the high ground, and so we'll see the robotics facility here. Excuse me, but doesn't see what's coming next, which we can see is an observatory, so there's nothing aggressive coming out of Protoss for a little while. Terran will be safe, but if I were the Terran at least, I'd probably be getting an eBay relatively soon, because I'd be like, okay, well, you've got the robotics facility. I don't see what tech you're getting off of that. Could be Reaver. But in this case, it'll work out for the Terran. Protoss going ahead, getting their pylons, trying to make sure that they don't, well, I was going to say make sure that they don't get supply blocked, but they currently are. Which is definitely something that, can be tricky to avoid. There are, it seems like for the different races, there are just certain sets of supply where it's just really easy to have missed building one of your supply structures or units and just getting blocked. And already we can see with the production that's going on the Observer, we've got a couple of Dragoons, the first Observer has popped out. We're already in supply block territory, and a pylon is just... now 2 pylons are getting started, which is what I was going to suggest, is really getting more than 1 supply building when you have 3 production facilities. Probably the way you want to go. Siege mode is being researched right now for the Terran. We have the range upgrade is complete, and this Vulture got to sneak away before the Dragoons really came up to the front. But once siege mode is done, there's really going to be no way that the Protoss can pressure. No, we did get an engineering bay. I think I just missed it being built at some point because it was down in the natural. So there are interesting turret placement though, because this is more like anti-DT placement as opposed to anti-shuttle placement. And the Terran definitely saw the robotics facility, so just a little bit of an interesting note there that, instead of the front turret by the command center, could have been more like a turret ring to block any potential Reaver play. A little bit forward, I think, with the tanks, but the tanks sieged up. There's not a lot of Dragoons out here, and I think the Terran did get a good view of what was out front with this barracks. So, not too worried about it. Terran sitting comfortably, getting their third factory up here, maybe looking to take over the, this is where the turret run could help too, because now the turret's now going down, maybe the Terran, you know, seeing the, cloaked observer here, but the observer peeking in here, getting a good eye on the factory count, seeing the additional machine shop go down, now going up to a 4th factory, +1 is on the way as well. So Terran doesn't look to be going for fast upgrades per se, like fast +2, getting that factory as opposed to a starport. But maybe a starport will start soon, and I could be wrong on that. There are definitely 2 base plays that Terran can go for. I think on this map, if you're not very good at taking the 3rd, it can be a strong play to go for that 2 base play. You know, get like your fast 2-1 upgrades, and then just charge forward off of 2 bases and like 7 factories, right? And then you can take a 3rd usually behind that, because the Protoss army is either going to try and counter, in which case you're going to pull your army back and engage with them, or they're going to try and defend, in which case you're engaging with them somewhere on the map, and then you don't have to worry about, you know, something coming over and smashing this 3rd while you're going ahead and taking it. The shuttle is out with the Reaver, and seems to be coming down here to the south, probably going to look for an opportunity to drop in this natural, but there's a turret there. Could land the Reaver, but really there's nowhere exceptionally well for it. Maybe this little spot here is out of range, but I don't think this is going to do much. It's also coming in up high, which is by the tanks, but the tanks... Okay, a couple tanks unsieging. And here comes the shuttle. It's going to get hit thanks to the floating engineering bay. And have to sort of back off here, as well as the army, as the tanks are slowly sieging forward, and I like the landing of the barracks here to sort of mess with the Dragoon AI and just taking control of this spot that's outside of the choke with the natural, because it can be hard to get a large Terran army out of a choke like this if Protoss is sitting right outside. So I like this move to sort of take this position over. A couple of tanks unsieged. One thing that can be dangerous here, excuse me, is with the way that these tanks are back here. They're not all going to be able to fire on Dragoons that come in. Usually you want more of an arc than this sort of stuttered placement, just because, you know, if Zealots were coming in as well, if these back tanks can't fire on Dragoons, they're going to fire on Zealots that are on these front tanks and splash the front tanks, and it's just going to cause the Terran army to die that much faster. There's a few shots fired around. I'm not sure what they were. If there was a mine maybe up here that got cleared, that might be what that was. Terran trying to get a few vultures out. Didn't quite get the magic box mine laying there, but did get at least one mine. Looks like, okay, yeah, I think that was a mine up here at the 3rd that got cleared, and now trying to maybe harass that 3rd with some mine, or with some vultures, get some mines laid as well. Looks like they're getting ready to take their 3rd. They did get a command center down here, and now they're getting a command center up here, which is a little bit strange. Maybe they made this and forgot, or I'm not sure exactly why they would have got that particular command center, but they do. They're getting their +1 here. They have a second army. It's not spinning for +2, and the science facility just finished. So that's a bit of missed time there. Just lifted. Oh, the barracks lifted. Okay. But Terran is just sort of slowly here. Oh, see? Sieging up here as Protoss is trying to jump on these 3 tanks, but yeah, not quite going to be able to do it. Ooh, that mine gets some damage off there. I think those units were on move command while Protoss was trying to move these units back here, so Terran just clearing a little bit more space for themselves. Going to go ahead and try and take this 3rd, but this is really wide open for Protoss to sort of just walk in. So if Protoss was in position and wanted to, and knew this 3rd was coming, they really could just deny this 3rd pretty easily. But I think just based on the way that things are positioned, the Terran looks like they're going to get away with it. The worker counts, there's a lot of Zealots here right now though, so it looks like Protoss is starting to get ready to want to engage with the Terran army, I think, here. They do have 2 Reavers as well in the shuttle. There are a few Elias. There's 3 of them right now, it looks like, and no more in production. And that's a fair enough number to be able to try and snipe the shuttle if the shuttle gets a little overly ambitious. Protoss army positioning here in case the Terran army is going to be moving out across this high ground, actually maybe even looking to be aggressive, moving down. I don't like that it moved down into the low ground spot, because if Terran army were coming up and met right there, the Protoss army would be in some trouble. But we might see an attack from Protoss soon. I don't think that's the move they should be going for, though. But the Terran moved a chunk of their vultures away. But there's still enough army here. I don't think this Protoss army, it's a 1-0 against a 1-1 Terran army. We're going to see, though, how they engage. There's a lot of zealots here, and there's not a lot of vultures to clean them up. Yeah, this is what I was talking about here, where a lot of these tanks were just kind of firing on those zealots that were on those forward tanks and causing those forward tanks to just drop that much faster. But there's just so much here, and there was not nearly enough for Protoss to be able to really crack that. The Reavers also never came into play, so even with these 10 vultures out of position, Terran really didn't take all that much damage. The supplies are still pretty even here between the two. And Terran is continuing to mine up some locations, which is always a good thing to do, so that way you just have vision. Fortunately, there's only 1 worker on the 3rd gas, so that's going to inhibit the Terran factory production a little bit. It looks like they're maybe getting recall defense a bit too soon. While there is a Templar Archives on the field, there's not even a Stargate yet, so Arbiters are not going to be coming into play for quite some time. High Templar are out on the field now, and I imagine that Storm has probably been researched, and Plasma Shields being upgraded, which is usually not the upgrade you want to get as Protoss. You'd rather get armor first, because Plasma Shields take full damage from all weapon types. So really you're not getting your full bang for your buck and trying to get the upgrade on the shields. And here we have a nice little hug of the vultures, taking out those 3 dragoons, just trying to be annoying here with those, but they're not really going to be able to get worker kills, which they did pick off a couple of High Templars though, so. Ooh, and a 3rd one even, so that's pretty nice there for the Terran to get those pickoffs. Meanwhile, they're just continuing to macro back at home. They're on 5 factories. They probably could go up to 7 or even like 8 or 9. And here they are going in addition, or if I could form coherent sentences, they are adding additional factories, which is good to see here. I like how they have this now. I'm not entirely sure if this is a zealot-proof wall or not, but even if it's not, it's just good to slow down the enemy troops while they're trying to get up there. Terran also taking this base, which I find a little bit surprising. Maybe just because they're hoping, that Protoss won't look down here. Usually the next logical base for Terran, like as you can see, there's like nothing defending this, right? They're only getting away with this since the Protoss is not scouting down here. And I scan going down to check for where the Protoss army is, and they're going to see for a brief moment the army walk into this, just the edge of that scan, so they should know that the Protoss army is moving into position there. But this is normally where you would want to take your 4th as Terran, because you can sort of just logically like move up here to defend. Protoss is positioning on this high ground. I don't know if they're going to try and swing down here or not. They're going to need some really good storms. It looks like they are engaging these tanks here. They are going to siege, and the Zealots just are the buildings and the SCVs that were there doing a good job. The Zealots were on attack move instead of move, so they're not getting onto the tanks. And while these are some clumped tanks, we don't see any storm. The full energy Templar's not getting a single storm off. Very unfortunate to see. And I think with that clear, Terran here is going to say, okay, I think I can go attack you now. Because they lost barely any supply, while the Protoss lost pretty much their entire army there that they sent in. And the observers that are left see the tanks moving, so Protoss knows that they have to get in position here to try and defend this push, which I think with proper macro they could, but it was a shame to see no storm from the Protoss there, because there were certainly some clumped up tanks that really could have taken some damage. 2-2 for the Terran upgrade, still, or two attack with one shield for the Protoss. And I think Terran's going to be... Oh, Storm is just being researched now, so very unfortunate. Protoss had one of those moments where you go to do your push, and you find you don't have the Storm ability researched, and so with the push into the 4th, we get the GG from the Protoss player. So that first game, pretty good Terran versus Protoss that we had there. Nice little secret expansion by the Terran there, down in the bottom right, and pretty good showing overall. Remember, this is the preseason, so this is the time when players play other players that are around a similar skill level, or where we think that might be similar skill level, to kind of place everybody right. So sometimes you might see some games where somebody's clearly outclassed. Sometimes you might see some really close games. This is the time, like I said, where everybody's skill is kind of looked at, and how you perform kind of can help determine which tiers you might end up in, which can also have an impact on the teams you end up in, since they try to balance tiers and everything. So so way like a team is not heavy one tier, etc. But with that, we're going to get into our second game here, and it's going to be another Mazzer game. We're going to get Mazzer versus Alyssa here. So let's go ahead and get it started. Alright, and so we have Alyssa spawning as the purple Zerg up at the top right of the map, and down in the bottom left in the pale Terran we have Mazzer. So getting the same spawn here down at the bottom left, and this time we've got our Terran versus Zerg here. Terran versus Zerg can definitely be a fun little matchup here. Curious to see one of the things I like to look for when casting a TVZ is, well, two things, I guess, like a little bit from each side. So one, is the Terran going to go bio, or are they going to go mech? Because they're two completely different styles of play. For two, what's the Zerg going to do? Are they going to do a pool first opening? Or are they going to do a hatchery first opening? And then, like, what kind of style of those are they going to do, right? Because you can get you could do overpool, you can do 9 pool, you can do the extractor trick, you cannot do the extractor trick, and it does look like we're at least getting an overlord, so we'll see if it's an overpool or a 12 hatch. Overlord slowly lumbering, making its way across the map here. Can't really see yet or tell yet what Terran is doing, though we can tell that it is something that is still going to be standard. Although, yeah. Sometimes when I'm looking at a replay and I see like a building go down, like 11 barracks, that's when the barracks should go down. I get confused because it'll still say like 10 workers. It's like, wait, is that like slightly early? But no, it's not. You gotta look at the supply number, not the actual completed work count. Looks like we are getting a hatchery first, which is probably a 12 hatchery from the Zerg. And with a lack, excuse me, lack of a refinery here, it looks like we're going to get some bio Terran. So always a lot of fun. Bio Terran can definitely be very multitask heavy, so it can be tricky to be effective with it. Sometimes it's kind of easy, or it can feel kind of easy to just sort of like lose with bio Terran sometimes. Pool is on the way, along with gas. SCV getting all of the details. There is now a drone scouting out, seeing the lack of gas from Mazzer here. Or Mazur. Maybe it's Mazur. Instead of like Mazer, maybe it's Mazur. Long A sound. Can go with Mazur, I think. For the rest of the cast here. And that drone saw what it needed to do. Taking home a bullet as a souvenir and going back to the hive here. Now Zerg got a couple of Zerglings on the way. SCV just chilling out here. Keeping an eye on what comes out of these eggs because it's really important for Terran to know, are these going to be Zerglings? Are these going to be drones? Mazur here does see, it's the, I believe they saw the lair, so they know that that is morphing, trying to see what they can see any tech buildings here. Nice mineral walk there through the drones. Looks like it's going to head out though, all the way home. So if you can, it's good to keep this scout alive in the main, so that way you can try to catch if they're going to go for Hydralisks, if they're going to go for Mutalisks. But if you can't keep the scout alive, it's better to just not try and just like send it home. Because, you know, if you're not comfortable with it, you can throw your whole build off, you can miss buildings, things can be late. And you could just be worse in the end, right? Until you kind of get that level of comfort. And the Zerglings are going to poke in, but they're going to see, you know, the depot here, the 4 Marines. They're not going to try it. Bunker going down just in case, because again, now that the scout is out, while we did see the lair, you know, maybe the lair got canceled, maybe, you know, there's a lot of things that can happen while that SCV isn't there. So it's just a safe decision here to go ahead and throw that bunker down, just in case it's needed, in case a Ling Flood comes. Academy almost finished for the Terran. There are more Lings being made here, but the Spire is about halfway, or well, not halfway, it's like about a third of the way done, so I think we are going to be seeing this sort of, I think it's 2.5 hatchery it's called style, when the 3rd hatch is placed when it is. I'm not exactly sure what the difference is between 2.5 and 3 hatch with the 3rd hatch in base. I think the 2.5 is when the 3rd hatchery comes this late, but I'm not entirely sure. Another poke in by the Zerglings there, but they see the bunker, they go ahead and get repelled. Do we have, yes, we have the engineering bay here. Scan goes down for Mazur. See, confirms the Spire here, so Mazur should know where they need to place those turrets. An attempt at a run by around the minerals. The Zergling not quite going to make it out, nor in, but there are a lot of Zerglings out here, and they are ready to make a run in here. They're going to get a good surround on the loose Marines. These Marines that are down at the bottom right got lured out of position here. The bunker is going to fall, no repair. And this is really going to hurt things for Mazur. Losing time, needs to start getting those turrets in the natural. That was also a lot of Marines lost too, so there's really going to be no chance for Mazur to move out and try and get some map presence. The turret positioning is also kind of interesting here. We've just got the 2 here. The barracks aren't really protected. There's only 1 in the main right now. The Mulisks are on the way here. Stim just being started just a few moments ago, along with +1 weapons. Stim's not going to be done in time, I think, by when these arrive. We've also got a fire bat being made in response to all of those Zerglings, but here come the 2 in the natural kit. They did finish in time. And there's only 5 Mutalisks here. And we've actually got more Zerglings coming up, along with a few Mutalisks, so because all those Zerglings did that run by, they had to be replaced here. Mutalisks trying to find a place where they can harass. There's a little space here where they're not quite getting hit by turrets. More turrets were put up in the main in the meantime, so Zerg just trying to find a little spot here, taking some heavy damage, cornering these Mutalisks. Not really what you want to do with this, the Mutalisks, not really getting a lot of damage, taking heavy damage with them. I've done perhaps a bit too much. They did delay this 3rd barracks though. Range about halfway done. So very well defended there by Mazur. Looks Looks like we've got more Mutalisks on the way, so the Zerg wanting to stay on this Mutalisk heavy play. They are throwing down the den though, so they can start the transition into Lurker play, and as they're doing a scan, trying to check for that third base. Doesn't quite see, or I don't think they would quite see if there were... Oh no, the army's like kind of splitting up here. Which could be big trouble for them there with the pathing, forced to retreat with the stim. But the medics are going to get picked off since they can't stim to move a little bit faster. So as we can see a couple of medics being put into the barracks here to replace those that were lost. The turret's now going down. There's 11 Mutalisks here, which is a pretty good count here. I think we can like two-shot turrets with that. But yeah, a lot of these are like pretty heavily damaged and not quite getting the control that you want with those Mutalisks. So I think if this army didn't get split up like on the terrain here, might have had a good engage outside of the base even for Terran. But here we okay, that's just a rallied drone. I thought maybe it was going for a third, because while Alyssa has the Hydralisks now, Lurker aspect is being researched, there is still no third base for Zerg, and so Terran just not quite able to get out on the map. I like that Firebat in the bunker going to help with those Zerglings. But yeah, Mazur really needs to like wait until they have a decent sized M&M force before going out there. Because the M&M force just keeps getting slaughtered. It looks like Alyssa wants to be aggressive with these Lurkers, bringing them pretty far forward. Mazur just looking for a third base, like, okay, where have you expanded? You should have expanded by now. But Alyssa's kind of playing, like, all-in-ish here, I think, with sticking on these two bases. There is a drone now, though, over by the third, so... Looks like Alyssa is planning to take that third, and not really stay in this two-base state for too much longer. First Lurkers are being morphed, but supply block hit. Hydralisks do take an extra supply when they get morphed into Lurkers, so that is something you have to be ready for as Zerg. You have to have those Overlords in advance to get those Lurkers. Trying to harass this mineral that does get a worker and a marine, but also loses a Mutalisk here. Scans going down to sort of help get this Overlord here. The Mutalisk's looking to dive back in. Being forced back as well. And we have the Lurkers. I wonder if Alyssa is going to be aggressive with this. And we'll see maybe, you know, like a dive in with the Ling Lurker and the Mutalisks all at once into this Terran base here. They are pretty well situated. It looks like we've got drop ships. Some dropship play that's going to be done here by Mazur. There is one. I wonder if they have found that Alyssa is taking a third out, but that is a group of Marines and medic that are not going to be here for when this push happens, which looks like the Zerg is really preparing for this. Stim from the Terran. Terran knows that this army's out there and is going to try and engage it outside. There's no focus fire on the Lurkers by the Marines. The Lurkers are able to get up on them and burrow. Deal heavy damage. Meanwhile, at the third, it looks like the dropship is dropping for the Terran. Or no, it's just sitting there over top of the hatchery watching it. Keep an eye on that to see if those units do indeed drop. It looks like they're going for the main instead of for that third. I think the Terran will hold this back, though. Lurkers are being a bit of trouble, but Firebats do help against the Lurkers. But the drop from Terran looks like it got started, but then immediately canceled it. And heading back over to the third now in the Zerglings. Or Alyssa trying to dive back into the second, it looks like maybe, or at least try and get it contained. There are 5 more Lurkers about to finish here. But I think this third will get lost. That third is going to go down. So Alyssa, I think, is just going to commit here and try and take out Mazur's natural. During all of that, though, there really wasn't a whole lot of reinforcements that could finish for Mazur. So Mazur not getting the repair. The SCD's tripping up on themselves. A lot of Lurkers here down on the ground. They're repairing the turrets to keep vision up, but the bunker needs to be kept up. And that bunker just barely able to live, and Alyssa's going to go ahead and GG. I think at this point, yeah, that's pretty much the call. You lose the third, you don't quite knock the Terran off the natural. Very good game from these two players here. So far, we've had a nice TVP and a TVZ. Nice little bio Terran Zerg there with the Mutalisks into the offensive Lurkers, not really using them defensively. So pretty nifty game there. And up next, we're going to have iamsacul up against Alyssa in a PVZ here. So let's go ahead and get that one started. Right, and spawning in the top right of the map, the same position as the last game. In the purple Zerg, we have Alyssa. And down in the bottom left, playing under the name 2T3T, we have iamsacul, and I might just call them 2T3T, just because I find that easier to pronounce. So I'm just not sure about iamsacul, if I'm pronouncing that properly or not. So apologies if I am completely butchering your name. So Alyssa here, sending that overlord out to scout, getting those drones, while 2T3T here is getting those probes. Looks like we're going to see a fast expand of some sort as the probe comes down into the natural here. We'll throw down that pylon. Protoss walls and PVZ, I'm not exactly familiar with how they should be laid out to know if I'm seeing the start of a good or a bad wall. So we will see here. PVZ is definitely one of the fun matchups in my mind. It's like we did get a 9 pool, I believe that would be, or maybe that was an overpool. The Overlord was started before that pool. Yeah, I think that was an overpool from Alyssa. What is this probe doing here? You're typically not going to have proxies from a Zerg. So I'm not sure why that probe went up here to start. Maybe 2T3T has run into a proxy hatchery up there once before. Now it's scouting down over here. This is very, very interesting scout behavior here. But the probe will get there in the end, but maybe I'm thinking that iamsacul is just making sure that, you know, there's no proxy hatchery being made, which I suppose that's a possibility. I don't think I've seen that on Eclipse, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's pulled that on ladder before. Zergling, the first Zerglings are out though. They do just completely ignore the probe. They're going straight to the Protoss base, which I think is a good choice here, but there's a nice block on the ramp for now, but the Nexus could be started. There were the minerals for it. We're getting a third Zealot instead. I feel like the two Zealots, okay, the probe does catch that. A third base is going down. There's going to be some pressure applied to the gateway here. One of the Zerglings kind of got left alone there, but gets pulled back. Some hits being taken by the Zealot there. The natural Nexus now being started with 3 Zealots here. Going to be chasing those Zerglings back a bit. And yeah, gateway expands, you have to be very careful. I think it's, my understanding is that it's very easy to just die with a gateway first expand. And that forge expand is a bit safer, so Gateway expands can just be a bit more tricky to like get right, like when you need to make the zealots and how many you need to make and things like that. I like to this probe sitting on the ramp here, and then the newly made zealot is back. Make sure a zealot does get picked off, though separated from the group, so that's going to hurt the Protoss here with this initial push a bit. And I think these Zerglings, they're actually going to trap these zealots. Oh, but the zealots might... Oh, they actually get away. I thought they were going to get trapped there in that corner, but they just happen to get away and down that ramp, and now the Zerglings are going to try and press the natural instead of keeping after those zealots, which I don't think it's going to work out as well as Alyssa hopes, because there are the two zealots and a probe there, but oh, that cannon, unfortunately, it gets taken out instead of a cancel. That's 150 minerals lost there. And something I've noticed too is that the forge is up in the main instead of being part of the wall. This, this gateway, no, keep hitting the gateway. Yeah, the gateway's gonna fall. There it goes. And wait. I don't normally rewind replays, but hold on a second. I gotta see something here. So hold on. Ha! Yeah, the Zergling all the way back here died with no zealot next to it. That is unfortunate. The range bug happened there, but because I noticed that, I was like, I thought that Zergling died from a little bit of distance, and it did. That zealot has some long arms, I guess, or something. His third, though, is taking some heavy damage, but I think Alyssa should be able to save it with these Zerglings that hatch. Yeah, those zealots are going to be forced to back up and try and use the minerals here as cover. And then we've got 3 more fresh zealots coming up to face them. That gateway trying to be replaced to just sort of continue the wall there. These 3 zealots are going to get picked off, but it's going to leave this hatchery exposed. And while these get fought back, this third is going to go down. And these Zerglings are going to hatch, but they're really not going to be able to stop this hatchery from falling, which is, I think, a big loss here for Alyssa to lose that. Now down to just 2 hatcheries getting the lair. I think it looks like Alyssa, since there's no den, was going to be going for needleless play, being forced back here. These cannons are going to be protected by the probe and these zealots, so not really going to be able to do much there with them. Fresh batch of Zerglings here, though, should be able to clean up the zealots that are there, and Alyssa can plop that third back down, but they're going to be really behind after that. There, the zealots do get cleaned up. Alyssa really needs to get that third started back up and sort of just keep Protoss back, but the Protoss just now starting their Stargate as Zerg is starting their Spire, so Corsair shouldn't be too much of a problem for Alyssa, I don't think, but Alyssa really doesn't have much of an economy, right? Only 19 drones right now, but 2T, 3T is also pretty low on probes, so the economy is not all that great, though they are still producing some more. It definitely feels like there's been some gaps in that worker production that might be slowing them down just a little bit. But again, taking that third out was just, I think, a huge play here. And now now we have the drone trying to work its way over there now to re-establish that third. +1 weapons is on the way. The Citadel of Adun is finishing, so we should see leg speed started. There it is, the leg enhancements. So it's going to poke out there for a moment, see all of the Zerglings, and then just go ahead and return back to that wall, because especially without legs, they're not going to be able to do much. Now the Corsair is out, going to go ahead and take the Overlord off of the Nexus there. So the Overlord will get to spot the fresh gateways being put down before being fully taken out. So Alyssa knows that the Protoss is gearing up to explode in that macro, and then once +1 and legs are finished, we should see a move out with those Zealots. And it looks like the Scourge are coming in here to just try and keep tabs on, and also to scout, right? Because you can use the Scourge to scout. Oh, and they do pick off a Corsair, setting that Corsair count back down to 1. If Alyssa can keep that Scourge count down and get this third re-established, they might have a chance here, but it's just, this hurts so much to have to remake this hatchery, given that they don't have, you know, the creep or the time to get creep colonies down and get more sunkens. So this is definitely a difficult situation for them here. And interesting, the Argus Talisman, I don't think that is what was meant to be researched. The hotkey for that is, oh, the Scourge pick off the Corsair, and then you just make a new one. But I think that was meant to be Storm. The thing is, the hotkey by default for the Talisman, which is +50 energy, I believe is T. Actually, yeah, that's for Dark Archon energy. That's not even for the High Templar energy. But yeah, I think that hotkey is T, where Storm is actually P for Psionic Storm. So that's gonna hurt a lot when iamsacul goes to engage the Zerg army and just doesn't have Storm. And I wonder if that's what happened in the PVT that we saw them play, when they had all the High Templar with full energy and no Storms, if they had accidentally researched that wrong ability. Zerg, meanwhile, is switching over into, well, not really switching over into, because they never like went Mutalisk, but they are getting their Hydralisk army ready. But again, there's only the one creep colony here, I think, because that base had to be restarted. And here we have the move out from Protoss. And while there are all these High Templar, they can't Storm, and the Zerglings going for the run by here. We'll see how much chaos they can cause. They'll probably pick off a few workers here, but this is more so just going to buy time for the Zerg, because it forces the Protoss army back a little bit here. And now they might be a little bit shy even about coming out. Meanwhile, Sunken being made here at the third. There's no Overlord here, but there's also no anti-air, so the Corsair can just sort of chill there. The Overlords look like they're going slowly to greet that Corsair. And Storm's still not being researched yet. Meanwhile, we've got the Protoss army coming across the middle here. I don't know. Okay, it does look like it was noticed by Alyssa here, positioning the Hydralisks here to engage, but a lot of the times you don't want to just engage, at least in these smallish numbers, but in the open with your Hydralisk army up against the Protoss army. Oh, and Protoss is retreating back. They've noticed that Psionic Storm was not researched, and so they're going to have to fall back until that is complete, which is going to buy Alyssa more time here to sort of shore up the defenses and get more units. But their economy is just really hurt. There's only 6 drones here at the third for minerals. There's 11 at the main, and then we've got, what is that, 5? No, 6 at the natural. So really not a lot of drones going around. I feel like if Alyssa had just had got the opportunity to drone up a bit, I think losing this third really hurt that a fair bit. Overlord getting picked off here. Storm about to finish. Alyssa trying to move up now that lurkers are done, and I don't think there are observers out on the field, but Storm can hit burrowed and undetected lurkers. Meanwhile, the robotics facility here is being researched. We do have a small engage here. The lurker burrows, and Protoss army falls back. A High Templar getting picked off there. And Alyssa will push the Protoss back off the high ground. Positioning on the low ground here. Nice spread from the Protoss army too. My Templars maybe a little bit forward positioned, could be picked off. Got more lurkers here now. We've got 7 lurkers for the Zerg army if they can keep them spread out well. But we should be seeing some storms come down here soon. And there's one storm, gets a few Hydralisks damaged there. Storm pops 2 of those lurkers. Ooh, and another storm heavily damaging those lurkers. And then another follow-up goes ahead and pops them. So now just 3 lurkers here. Ooh, another good storm. Hydralisks going down. Yeah, there's just no reinforcements coming in from Alyssa, but there's no observer. Are there storms left? There's no storms left, so these lurkers will get to live for now. They are a bit clumped up, though. So one storm is available. They could be in trouble. They go ahead and unburrow, and they're going to go ahead and try and run home. The Zealot is going to see this and try and take some stabs at them, but then they're just going to burrow, and this Zealot's going to have to run away. So, this third, meanwhile, is being taken. Get some cannons down and some defense, and Alyssa does not know that third is there. Trying to set up a contain on this, thinking that that 2T, 3T here is still Protoss on 2 base, but now with the Observer out, they're going to go ahead and press these lurkers. We do have a couple of storms available, but I think the army is enough to clean this up. Alyssa did get some more drones up to 32 at this point, but still just on the 3 bases now. Not a lot of Sunkens at the bases either. Oh, and with that, Alyssa is going to go ahead and call the GG. This is probably, yeah, this was played on top versus bottom, so more than likely sent the GG in allied chat. Maybe a little bit early of a GG, but in the end, you know, like, still a good game from these two. I think just losing that third really, really hurt and put the Zerg behind there, and just trying to recover from that point. I think Alyssa just wasn't quite able to, but I really like that. I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, how Alyssa will continue to play and develop as the season goes on. We get into the regular season and start getting those team versus team matches. Up next, we have iamsacul up against Effay. I believe this should be another Protoss versus Zerg, so let's go ahead and get this game loaded up here. Right, and spawning in up at the top right as the red Zerg, we have Effay. And down in the bottom left, spawning as the orange Protoss, we have iamsacul. So actually, I'm wondering something here really quick with replays. I can set position hotkeys. That's pretty interesting. Okay, I did not know that that was something that you could do. So I might just really quick here. Wait. Did it not? There we go. I got a little position hotkey, so I don't have to click on the minimap. For some reason I was just like, is that a thing you can do? And apparently it is. I did not know that. So if you didn't know that either, we've all learned it. So we'll see how Effay chooses to play this matchup in Zerg vs Protoss. We've seen iamsacul go for iamsacul. I am so sorry. I am probably butchering your name so bad, and I feel very bad about it. I am sorry. Hopefully after this cast, I can be told how it is pronounced, and I will remember. One can dream. But we do see a gateway expand coming out again from the Protoss here, which is what they did in the last PVZ. The Overlord and the Probe go ahead and pass each other. It looks like we've got another overpull from Zerg here. Or actually, maybe this was a 9 pull, because this spawning pool is a lot more, or a lot further along than in the game we saw Alyssa play here. Looks like this drone coming out a little bit late for this hatchery here. But maybe not as well. Like I mean, that probably could have been started sooner, and then that 100 minerals would have been just in time for these Zerglings, so it's hard to say really. But the Zerglings are going to hatch, and it is a full 3 larvae of Zerglings, so they're going to be able to chase this probe away, it looks like. Because they'll actually chase it all the way to the 3rd, or just over to the top left. So trying to keep this probe alive here, trying to see if they can loop it, I think, back into that main to try and get a scalp. But the Zergling's doing a good job here of just denying this probe getting in more. Ooh. Yeah, very good play here for both of them. The probe may have seen that drone heading over to the 3rd, and if so, then they know, okay, you're doing like 3 hatcheries at 3 different bases. There's an overlord sitting out front to watch for any zealots that move out. There are 2 zealots already on the field, so we'll see. Last game there was a small move out with the 3 initial zealots, so we might see something similar here. The probe trying to see if there's a way that it can sneak back in there and try and get some more information, but the Zergling's doing a dutiful job here of keeping that probe back. The probe could peek up into the 3rd and see the 3rd there, but if they've already seen a drone going up there, it's probably safe for them to just assume that that base is being taken. Meanwhile, Effay getting a couple more Zerglings and then going ahead and droning up a bit here. Needs to be careful with their larva usage, that if these zealots decide to move out, that they have the larva available to go ahead and grab more Zerglings. Trying to see if there's a way that I can peek in there, but the Zergling's doing a really good job of just sitting here and making sure. And then there's, I guess, no real reason for the Protoss to take these zealots out, because the Zerglings are all back here, so it's not like you're pushing Zerglings back, or you're going to be engaging with the Zerglings 100% in the Protoss territory. Oh, the probe manages to sneak by here, and we'll get a view of everything. Effay just missing for a moment, so the persistence with this probe pays off and sees the Hydralisk den, so they know that there is not going to be any Spire or like Mutalisk Scourge play. Very, very nicely done there by the Protoss, getting that probe in there finally. But now with the probe taken out, the Zerglings should be free to go more toward the front if they choose, but they are just going to stay here at the natural choke. Cannon in the main again, and now we've got the Citadel. The first Corsair is it on the way? Oh, I thought that was flashing, but it looks like it is not. We've got a couple of cannons coming down now that the probe has gone. I believe Protoss, seeing that, okay, it's a Hydralisk den, so Hydras are going to be coming. It may be afraid of something like a Hydralisk bust. So going ahead and getting 3 cannons here might be a little premature, but the army of the Zerg is coming across the map now, and the Protoss army looked like it was considering going out, but does back off. Leg speed is on the way, so pretty soon that +1 and fast Zealot, maybe that's going to happen. The Zerglings getting caught up by the cannons here, and taking some hits from the Zealots too, losing a few Zerglings. That's going to really hurt in this early game here. It's going to make any engage between the 2 armies just that much more in favor for the Protoss player here. Got a gateway coming down here. Oh, and another Zergling pick off by Protoss. And these Zealots, their shields are even looking very, very healthy here. Looks like Protoss wants to assess how large this Zerg army is. Sees the Hydralisks coming in here. Looks like Zerg trying to find a spot to get some damage, but taking some shots from the cannons there. A few more cans being thrown down in response to seeing the number of Hydralisks that they are seeing. It looks like we've got now a 4th hatchery on the way and a lair here, so I don't think this is going to be a full-on Hydra bust attempt. But the Hydralisk numbers are growing. I did not catch if Hydra range was researched, but speed looks to have been researched based on how fast those Hydralisks are moving. I would imagine by now that by the 7.5 minute marks, the Hydra's range must have been researched. And I most likely missed it. I haven't really been paying attention this cast to the production tab as much as I maybe should have for upgrades and such. Corsair are out though. Looks like they were peaking up at the Protoss potential 3rd here, and +1 in leg speed has been done for a little bit, but with the Hydralisks here, the Zealots are content to just stay home instead of trying to get on top of them. The Hydralisks and push the army back. A couple more gateways being, actually 4 more gateways being demolished, a lot more than a couple, along with the Templar Archives. So Storm will hopefully be on the way this time and not the Dark Archon energy. Okay, we've got +1 attack for the Hydras being started. These Corsair here looking for a spot where they can hit some Overlords, and Storm is what is being researched now. The Corsair check the 3rd and find no Overlords, so they're going to go ahead and they do see another hatchery coming down there, so now they're going to go ahead and scout the main, and there will be an Overlord that they can put some damage on. But they're going to go ahead and just scout, fly over the Hydralisks here. There should be enough time to respond from Effay and save that Overlord there. Looks like Effay is sort of just watching and waiting for this Protoss move out here. First High Templar is out on the field. A mix of drones and Hydralisks being morphed here. We're up to 38 drones to the 49 probes of iamsacul. Another hatchery coming down for Effay here. 2nd High Templar out on the field now. Pretty soon we'll be seeing those, I can't remember if it was Nablime or Set Zero that like to talk about it, but those CPL storms, which I think we saw a good number of in the last game. It looks like iamsacul wants to move out here now and get on top of these Hydralisks, getting some good damage, trying to disrupt their pathing on the retreat. And these Zealots are going to come out. There's no Sunkens. Lurkers being morphed now. There's no Sunkens at the main. There's no Sunkens at the natural or defense, so it's going to be pure units trying to defend this, but the Protoss army is going to stop at the high ground here. May have seen, I don't know if they've seen Lurker eggs though with the Corsair. It looks like they just wanted to push that army back out of their natural so they could go ahead and take the 3rd instead of proceeding to be aggressive with that army. So Zerg has some time to build up some forces in response to this move out. Be prepared to defend itself a bit more here. Looks like in response to the Zerg, it's going to go ahead and take their 4th base here with the drone in position. You throw down that hatchery, and there it goes, throwing that down. While the Corsair count is growing, but they can't quite find anywhere to really bother, although this is a bit vulnerable here now at the natural. We'll see if these Corsairs manage to find it. Instead, they go after the Overlords that are just like right next to the main army. So they're being pushed back here and forced to fall back a bit. This Zealot High Templar army is looking pretty large here. A few Dragoons starting to be mixed in. I think the Dragoons can be pretty good against the Lurkers. It looks like similar building placement here. We've got, the 3 pylons. We'll probably see a couple of cannons get thrown down. And both players just sitting defensively right now. Just looking to make sure that they go ahead and get their new bases established and that they don't get caught by surprise from the enemy's army, as neither of them really have any information on where the army is. I think actually the last one to see the enemy army was iamsacul when it was those, Corsairs that were bugging these overlords here. Army being positioned in advance here at the fort to go ahead and keep it defended, but iamsacul actually doesn't even know about that base yet. I don't think there are observers on the field. Looks like observers just being started now. 3 of them being thrown into queue. The observatory is done, and now the Corsairs going out to scout, and I think check if this 4th base is here. It's going to run into the Hydralisks. It does see those there, and so saw a creep most likely, so they know, okay, that 4th base is there now. The Protoss still in a good position, only down 1 base. This 4th just getting online for Zerg. There's still only like 2 drones there, so Protoss is sitting in a pretty good position. 57 probes, but Zerg doing a good job of droning up at 55 right now. Looks like just checking the upgrades real quick here. +2 weapons on the way from Hydralisks. And some good hits getting off there on the Corsairs, but not quite able to pick one off. But that was a good heads-up catch there. And now the Zealot. I don't know why this lone Zealot's coming here. Maybe to distract and make Effay think, okay, that's where the army is headed. But there isn't a reaction from Effay. And I would like to see these lurkers, if they're just going to sit here, be burrowed in advance and spread out to protect them from storm, as opposed to just sitting on top. It's kind of like Terran when they leave their tanks just unsieged. Like, I mean, you don't have to have every single tank sieged in Terran army, but if every tank is unsieged, that's usually a bad time against Protoss. Looks like we have some Zerglings here, perhaps just sort of scouting, but also seeing if there's anything that they can wreak havoc with here. Looks like they are going to the 3rd here. Meanwhile, the Protoss army is engaging with the Zerg at the natural. The lurkers do get burrowed. Some good storms coming down. The Zerg army not quite in position, as it didn't have the spotting needed to see that this army was coming down off of the high ground. Now the army that was sitting at the 4th trying to come in and flank the Protoss, but there's still energy for storms. Another storm coming down, but the Hydralisks mostly able to get out of the way there. Another storm on the lurker there. Oh, pretty good storm there, but I thought it was going to be a bit juicier than it was. Got some Zerglings flooding in here, so it looks like this attack will be repelled in the end, forced to fall back. Templar trying to be morphed into Archons here, but going to get caught some pathing issues there with the retreat, causing those Zealots to take some extra damage. Meanwhile, that Zergling run at the 3rd doesn't even look like it really did much of anything. A little bit of damage on a cannon back by the probe, so it looks like they might have gone diving deep into the base there to try and get some probe kills. Back to scouting with those Corsairs over on the left side to see if any other bases over there were taken or if there's any units positioned there. Meanwhile, let's see here, the Zergling attack speed being upgraded along with melee attack. And we've got more lurkers being morphed, so I think we might see a transition over maybe into like Defiler. Yeah, Defiler Zergling play. There's the Defiler mound, so we're going to see that transition into more of a melee Zerg with the Swarm, but with a Protoss army that is so Zealot heavy, I don't know if that's really the way that they need to go. You know, the army running up here to the 4th, going to try and deal some damage, but there's no observer, and the army really gets split up here. For Protoss, I think there's just some pathing issues with like where the army was ordered. Some of it wanted to go over to the right side of this water, some of it wanted to go across the left side, so forced to retreat and regroup at a common point on the paths, but now starting to press forward again, but this time the Zerg army is sort of in position here. The lurkers being burrowed here to be ready and in time for this Protoss army. Protoss also taking a 4th here. I don't know if it was spotted by the Zergling or not, but nothing from Zerg moving down there in response, and the Zergling looked like maybe trying to confirm over up here, but not. Okay, it does go ahead and confirm that the base is there. So Effay is now aware of it. There's a few lurkers coming down, but the Zergling is Okay, the probes go ahead and take that Zergling out. The lurkers are going to burrow. Zerglings will eat up some of that damage from the cannons, allowing the lurkers to continue to deal damage. But the main Protoss army is engaging, and all these lurkers are unburrowed. Tons of damage to them, and now with the observers over top. Oh. That is huge damage there on the army for Protoss, and we've got more lurkers, but again, they're just not burrowed. So many dying before they can even get any shots off, and then a storm going down, mostly hurting Protoss, but this lurker here almost dead. We do have Defilers out with Consume, but another nice storm from Protoss. Now a swarm going down, and that will stop the Dragoons from really being able to deal damage, but the Zealots are happy to deal damage under that swarm. The swarm also does not protect buildings, so the fourth for Zerg was going to fall here, and the base down here is still working. There's still this cannon here, and so I don't think this... Okay, yeah, this lurker is going to be able to stop this now. So Effay can bring this back even. You get a fair number of probe kills if iamsacul is not careful. But Effay here is going to try and take this fourth back, I think, repositioning their army. They do see, though, the retreat path of the Protoss army. Protoss going to say, okay, well, you might take that base out. I'll just move my army over here. Oh, and the Nexus gets destroyed, but with 3k in the bank, I don't think it's going to hurt Protoss that much to lose that 500 rather, if that pylon also got destroyed by the Zerglings. Just needs to send another probe over, and it should be fine. This Nexus, though, meanwhile, slowly falling. I wonder if this cannon will be able to hit this lurker or not. Protoss is looking in a very strong position here, and Effay has a lot of minerals, but not a lot of gas. I'm sending over Dark Templar, but there's no detection. Oh, there's the observer. Okay. So the Dark Templar will clean this up, and they will be able to defend this as there's no detection for Effay here. And since this Dark Templar killed the Zerglings in one hit, there was no alert that that was happening. So if Effay wasn't watching, they may not notice right away. Plague going down on the Corsairs. Though they do get a few Overlord kills here. Protoss army positioning up on the high ground while Zerg is trying to go ahead and take this fourth, but Protoss army is looking really strong right now. What are the upgrades? We're at 3 with 1 plasma shield. And we've got 2-1 from Zerg here. On the range, what do we got on the melee? We've got 1-1 with 2-2 on the way. There is a Dark Archon being made somewhere on the map, so we may see some Maelstrom. Looks like Zerg's also trying to do like a double expand here, but it gets caught very quickly by Protoss, and just a few Zealots over here, though they don't quite make it to the hatchery to try and take it out. And now they do get assigned to tear that hatchery apart. Here. This is just a pretty strong game here, and I'm liking this. It's like a nice macro game. Protoss is up at full supply, so just at 139 here, so the Protoss army looking pretty scary. A healthy number of High Templar here. 9 High Templar in the army. An observer peeking forward to see what is there. There is an attack at the third here, but I think there's enough cannons to clean up these Zerglings. Ooh, they're going to try and catch this Dark Archon. But Storm goes down, cleans up those Hydralisks. High Templar marching a little bit too forward. A couple get picked off before they can really get their Storms off. Oh no, storming the Observers. There is still one nearby, though. But that is something that can be hard to avoid. There was a plague that went down, another High Templar with a lot of energy being picked off, but there's still like 3 almost full full energy High Templar. Full one just gets picked off there. So not the cleanest of engages for Protoss, but so I feel like they maybe come out ahead there. Both players, though, have quite the bank. The one thing, though, where Zerg is going to be pressed for a bit is Larva. But they do have 3 still here at their 4th base. Protoss, though, on a good number of bases here. Doing a good job of making sure that Zerg doesn't take an additional 5th base. The main and the natural are mined out for Protoss, so they are technically just on 2 mining bases, while Zerg still has all 4. I would love to see, there's still just the hive here. You know, if there were like 4 additional macro hatches in the main, I feel like Zerg could just like overwhelm the Protoss with units. It also feels a bit like Ultralisks are missing from this army, like an Ultralisk cavern, 4 to 5 additional hatcheries in the main, and that 6k, 1.8k will just be spent like nothing. And you know, I feel like Protoss could be overwhelmed. Protoss getting a 3rd establisher, Defiler being forced to eat a drone in order to spit a plague upon the Protoss army. And here the Protoss is threatening the natural now. There's just aren't units. There's larva, but there's like no units for Effay here to defend. And because they never set up Sunkens, they just don't have the Sunkens. And here they are getting some Zerglings now, it looks like, but they just don't have the macro hatcheries to really build up to sort of counter this. But the Protoss army is not macroing to replace what was just lost. So Zerg is still going to be alive in this. But I don't really know for how much longer. I mean, this natural has now mined out. The main's about to mine out. So Zerg's going to be on 2 mining bases, while Protoss is going to be on 3. So the situation's not really looking good for Zerg. Zerg's going to go ahead and try and take this top left base with the double gas here. But I mean, both players have over 6k minerals. So I think at this point it's more, you know, about who can spend their money as opposed to who can mine more money, right? But eventually a bank will run out. This base for Protoss over here was built but not quite established. The Dark Templar taking a moment to ponder its existence before going ahead and eviscerating that Hydralisk. Some Zerglings running in, but the Dark Templar can kill them, but maybe not before they get the Nexus here. Yeah, the Nexus does end up falling here. Protoss sending some units to defend it, but the Dark Templar does end up cleaning it up. Are trying to get a foothold in this top left. We have a drone transfer from the main over to the 4th base here for Zerg. Storm on the Zerglings, but they're just going to keep running by. The poor observer. Poor observer. Looks like they're going to try and make another run on this base. The Dark Templar left it. Oh no, the Dark Templar didn't leave it, I just didn't see the Dark Templar. It's there, it's taking some swipes at these Zerglings. But I think, yeah, the Nexus is going to be forced to cancel here. Some of these cannons are going to get torn to shreds. Trying to focus, oh, and the pylon goes down, but there was a 2nd pylon, so the cannons will still be powered. Meanwhile, we have another big engage here between the Protoss and the Zerg army. nothing but High Templar left. So the Protoss army being repelled again. Armor and shields being upgraded now. How many gateways do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we've only got 10. Oh, looks like we've actually got a carrier switch here happening. I don't know how common that is in Protoss versus Zerg. I feel like I almost never see that. So, ooh, that's pretty exciting to see there. Zerg is looking for more bases to poke, but Protoss is sort of pivoting over to this bottom right. The banks are slowly starting to fall for the players here. They were up at 6k minerals, now they're at like 4k. They're both kind of taking a moment to get their mining bases situated, but it might come down to like a fight. Pretty good storm. Oh, but the observer's moving into the storm again. Some heavy damage on the Protoss' own army with those storms. But yeah, I'm thinking it could come down to a fight over this base here. Looks like Effay's gonna run into this bottom right base again. There are some cannons, but yeah, if they would just bring detection, they could deal with this 35 kill Dark Templar. This Dark Templar is Zeratul, I think, in disguise, pretending to be just a normal Dark Templar. He's just like, I will defend this base no matter how many times it falls. I am going to try and save it here. Meanwhile, that does pull the Protoss army over here. And again, there's this, you know, the terrain feature is kind of causing this weird split. But now a few Zealots also being positioned to back up this 41 kill Dark Templar. Another Archon summoning here after having spent their energy, and now another batch of Zerglings by themselves. I feel like if there was a batch of Zerglings sent with a oh, but they're just on move command and they get cut off by the Zealots here, then the Dark Templar is going to get some additional kills. The Zealots fall, but cannons do finish. 46 kills, 47 kills for this Dark Templar. I'm wondering how many kills this Dark Templar will have before the end. I'm tempted to just not select anything else, so that we see when this Dark Templar dies, if it dies, before the end of the game, and what the kill count is at that moment. The carriers now, though, coming out. There's 3 of them while they're being revealed. They do have to be careful that they don't get plagued. And there's just this another small Zerg, the small Zergling attacks are just not working on this bottom right base. Oh, those are some stack burrowed lurkers there, but the lurkers aren't going to be able to do anything to these carriers here. Some storms coming out on top of the lurkers falling very quickly here, and I think Effay may have been taken by surprise by this. They haven't had any really good forward scouting here, and instead of hitting the Hera's Zeratul base, they're going for the other one here, down at the bottom. But there should be enough cannons to keep that safe. Meanwhile, there really is an anti-air available. More Hydralisks are being made here. Plague goes off on the carriers, which is something that iamsacul needed to be careful of. Going after the lurkers here, and what are they? They're just making more carriers behind this, but now Hydralisks are out, and these carriers are in the middle of the field, pretty exposed. Ooh, a nice storm! Nice storms going down, 2 of them. Some heavy damage there on those Hydralisks. They're going to be trying to regroup here while reinforcements making it to the rally point there. Ground army sort of sacrificing itself here. Another storm going down, just trying to save these carriers while the rest of the army meets back up. And iamsacul's minerals, the bank, are running very low here. Under 1,000 minerals. The carriers are expensive units to make. Not only that, for the interceptors as well, so I don't know, I think iamsacul might have been better off sticking with the land army. They were doing a pretty good job with it, but they really got to work some magic with these carriers, get them up to like a critical mass. Effay feeling confident here moving forward with these units, but their bank is getting small too, and they're about to be on one mining base. Because moving that army around a little bit, but ooh, nice storm hitting those lurkers there. What is this? Another plague going down on the carriers there, so pretty good. But now these lurkers that are pretty forward are exposed. The filers could cast swarm to protect against the another plague going down, but the plague's not going to do much if your army isn't around to inflict damage, and now the filer's getting picked off here. I feel like maybe one of those swarm casts could have, or sorry, plague casts could have been swarm instead. Now the carrier's pushing forward with the ground army here. There might be some... Ooh! Good storm there. A lot of... Oh, these Hydralisks on move command. Getting caught by the Protoss army there. Protoss 184 supply to 116 here. Air weapons being upgraded. Ranged attack being upgraded again here by Effay. Now the Zerglings are going to take out some of these units here because they've been plagued, but okay, they're only actually going to take out the one. Meanwhile, Zeratul, the selected Dark Templar here, still alive. And I wish that would have been a swarm. These carriers have been plagued a number of times, and I'm sure not all of them have been plagued, so maybe that plague hit a new one, but like, swarm will protect against these interceptors. It will keep these... I mean, it won't protect from the storm, and those are some pretty good storms there. But like right now, you throw down a swarm, these Hydralisks are going to last a lot longer and push this Protoss army back. Although another good storm dealing heavy damage to these Hydralisks. And the Hydralisks are going to be forced to fall back, and there's just no money right now for Effay. Effay trying to take this base over on the left. It's just the income from this one base is just not enough. The carrier fleet might do it here for iamsacul, but they're down to just one mining base here, so they really need to be careful with their units. This is really coming down to the wire. But I feel like Zerg really needs to throw down some swarms here, or they're just not going to be able to do it. Oh, this Dark Templar, there's no units, there's no detection here, so this Dark Templar might kill this hatchery, and it does. That's going to be a big loss for Effay. It's 300 minerals, and at this stage of the game, that is critical to try and keep that alive. Trying to keep an eye on where these carriers are going to go. Looks like the Zerg army here trying to move over to secure this. We now have an Overlord moving into position to detect the drone being started here to go ahead and rebuild that hatchery once it hatches. We might get a second Zeratul here if Effay isn't careful. This is the type of game, this is the type of ZVP that's just great to watch and great to cast, where it's coming down to like the wire. It's who can get this last base, who can be more efficient with like the last few minerals and gas that they get. But this carrier army and Effay only at like 100 supply. I feel like Protoss could almost just A-move and clear this, but they do have so many High Templar too, because they've got so much gas banked up. High Templar so cheap. I mean, like look at that. A storm goes down, and 2 carriers fall, but all those Hydralisks are just gone. There's some reinforcing Hydralisks coming in now, but just a couple more storms. Bit of a miss on that one, but I mean, Effay falling back here. They do have some minerals banged up now, but like, and now they're going ahead and getting a spy. They think, okay, well maybe if I get Scourge, but oh wait, but they have a spy. So why are they getting a second one? The Filer's getting picked off. Some beautiful storms coming out here. And Protoss basically allowing themselves to secure this base. I think they need to throw down a Nexus here to really secure this. And if they can get that, I think that's going to be the game. There's random Zergling down here. I mean, I feel like they could probably just move forward with these carriers too, but they do need to be careful. You know, that they don't lose too many interceptors, and so they're going to go ahead and try and secure this base. The Zergling's going to go ahead and try and cause some issues here. Oh, Effay is going to go ahead and give the GG, so beautiful game between these two. Just a really long PVZ. Like I said, I love those like mine out down to the wire games. The carrier switch ended up paying off for iamsacul, and that'll make iamsacul up with 2 wins, I think, and if I'm remembering right, in this group. Mazer's at 2 wins. The Zergs have yet to get a win, but we've still got 2 more games coming up here for this group. And so our next game here is going to be iamsacul up against NicePants, so let's go ahead and get it launched. And spawning up at the top right, in the red Protoss, we have iamsacul, and down in the bottom left corner, in the green Protoss, wearing the very nice pants, we have NicePants. And for some reason, I thought NicePants was a Zerg player, but maybe they are participating this year as Protoss in CPL. So we've got ourselves a Protoss versus Protoss here. They could also be matchup picking, where they don't want to do Zerg versus Protoss. We do have at least one more game with NicePants in it, so we'll see if they play Protoss in that one or not. But a little bit of Protoss versus Protoss. So we've got 2 in-base pylons going down. NicePants is excuse me. Excuse me. That just kind of came out of nowhere. But NicePants is pylon here in an interesting position down below the Nexus, whereas this is like positioned nicely to go ahead and throw down gateways and such, and tech back here behind it. I guess NicePants is SimCity though. It can work if it is like going to be vertical here or something like that, but this is kind of far away from the ramp. Usually you try, I think with every race except for Zerg, because Zerg is, you produce your units at your hatcheries. So unless you're making macro hatcheries, they're going to be where they're going to be most effective for gathering your minerals and your gas, right? But usually, like, you try and put a building close to your first production buildings close to the ramp. There's also exceptions too, I guess. In Terran versus Terran, you sometimes just put the barracks as close to the opposing base as you can, so that way it has the shorter distance for lifting and flying. So you know what, you can place your buildings wherever you want, and it is a-okay. Second pylon coming down here for NicePants, while the Zealot is coming out. No Zealot for 2-3T or the iamsacul, but we have a core coming down, and now we have a core coming down for NicePants. I don't think NicePants actually sees... Oh, no, they probably saw the core when they came in and went up to that corner. Meanwhile, the probe here dancing around the Zealot does not care, because, I mean, the Zealot's probably not going to be able to catch that probe really anyway. But if it does get a hit off like the probe is here, or two, that would deal some serious damage as opposed to just a probe probe pokes the Nexus here. Second Zealot is out. So we've got one gate core from both of them. One of them, though, the first Dragoon is almost done. The other one went for two Zealots. A pylon being thrown down here by NicePants. Probe is still chasing that other probe, and now the second probe joins in, and so there's a two-probe brigade going on here. And one of them gets pulled off because it just kind of auto-attached. And a second gateway started for NicePants. The probe of NicePants has made it out of the main and is watching the natural to see what comes down. And the Dragoon is going to come down and meet it. Probe will be eliminated. I think iamsacul's probe got eliminated. The probe scout got eliminated as well. So gateway is warping in here. Another probe scout going out for NicePants. Probably again just to check to see, you know, if iamsacul is going to go for the expansion, or, you know, if they move out with anything. But plenty of awareness thanks to this probe. We do have the robotics facility coming down, though, for... actually, wait, for NicePants, too. Okay, so the robotics facility just finished, and we have the support base. It looks like both players may be going for Reavers here, but we'll see. There's the chance that an observatory goes down for NicePants. Range being started, and I'm thinking iamsacul has to have got range, right? And I just missed it. So I'd be surprised if they are not, if they don't get that at all. Both players still on two gateways, and we'll see what this is. It is the observatory instead of the bay. So it looks like NicePants is a bit worried about DTs here from this one base play. We're just going to play it safe and make sure that there's nothing that they would just outright immediately die to. So we've got 4 Dragoons here, none in production at the moment. 4 Dragoons just finished up here for NicePants with a couple on the way, and NicePants is sending out yet another drone or probe scout, it looks like. So really wants to know when the opponent moves out, I'm thinking. Or maybe wants to check to see, like, is there an expansion at another spot? Because they're like, you've not taken your natural yet. What are you doing? Yeah, that moment there, I was trying to right-click this probe to follow it for a moment and wasn't able to. And I think there's another probe even over on this side. So really trying to just scout and see what's happening. But here, iamsacul is moving out. NicePants sees the units, and actually iamsacul misses the probe. So that probe will stay there to get some valuable intel. And NicePants did have the shuttle there in vision. NicePants looking to take their natural now. They don't have a Reaver, so really this could come down to micro, and can NicePants catch the Reaver and or the shuttle? Or will that do a ton of damage here? The units, though, for NicePants, not in position. They didn't move down, so now they're going to have to try and move down. And the Reaver can catch them coming down. Nice Reaver shot there, dealing a lot of damage. But, oh, the shuttle gets picked off with the Reaver inside of it. That's really going to set iamsacul back a bit. And NicePants will be able to deflect this attack and I think push it all the way back. The probe for NicePants still just hiding there in the corner. How has that... It's visible, but it just has not been within range to get targeted yet. This Dragoon, 4 hit points, just barely getting away there. Probe finally getting caught there by from NicePants. And oh no, the Dragoon's getting a little ahead of themselves here. But they're going to push this back a bit as they try to avoid being targeted by the Zealots there. And this will just delay the natural for iamsacul here. But I think they're going to be able to push this back, but it will delay the natural just a little bit while the units are occupying the space. This pylon, though, will kind of... I think there were some pathing issues where this Dragoon just was like, you know what, I'm going to come down, and now they're kind of forced to fight this one on the ramp. They try and save their brethren there, which does fall. And now we've got another Reaver out, which might push this force from NicePants back. There were some checks, too, by NicePants on these bottom right bases, just to make sure that they're... Before that push happened, that initial move out, just to make sure that there was nothing sneaky going on down there. First Reaver shot goes off here, dealing a lot of damage. Oh, and that one doesn't dud, and 2 of the Zealots fall, the Dragoons fall. That Zealot is heavily damaged. The unit's not on hold position, getting lured up the ramp here. NicePants is still looking in an okay position, though. They have their natural. They're up 1 base. The worker counts for both players are pretty low, though. And we see that NicePants is still making probes, but may have cut some worker production cycles. Could have, I think, a lot higher of a probe count at this point. DTs are out, but the Observer is out here for iamsacul, and the DT will get picked off there. And actually, wait, where did the... there's the Observer. I was gonna say, where did the Observer go? I thought it was like down here, and then all of a sudden I didn't see it anymore, but it's because it was up here. And so we've got the Shuttle Reaver combo going again, looking to go for the push. Ooh, nope, pulling the Shuttle Reaver back, apparently, all the way... because there's a second Reaver. So picking up that second Reaver, and then that shuttle should come along. Observer moving forward, sees the push from 2T3T. So that's supposed to be like TT, TTT, or what's that? Or just, I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. Brain failing. But here we have the push into the natural, maybe. Oh, nope, deciding to back up. Gonna let the Reavers work their magic. Scarab does go out there and deal some damage. And now, oh no, the Reaver's being dropped, gonna be up, oh, the shuttle being targeted, but the Dragoon's being taken out. Now these Reavers gonna be able to deal some heavy damage here. And I don't think NicePants is gonna be able to stop this, and it's going to lose this natural. Meanwhile, iamsacul is getting their natural set up. The Nexus is completed, but there's nothing moved over there. High Templar on the high ground. Observer being picked off. The natural is now fallen fully for NicePants, except for the assimilator, which is being worked on now. And these Reavers are going to position to try and fire up this ramp, and the Dragoon falls. The Reavers get picked up and moved back to make sure that the Zealots aren't hitting them. Dark Templar attempts to come out and save the day, but they would get hurt by the splash from the Reavers, plus the Observer is there so they can be directly targeted. Yeah, I think the Reavers really turned the tide here for iamsacul, and really getting them that win here. There's some High Templar being produced. Now Reaver being moved over to the far left here, targeting the probes. Massive probe explosion. NicePants down to just 12 workers. And it looks like the army... Oh, there's a High Templar drop back at iamsacul's base, actually down to 14 workers. We missed that. But the base of NicePants just being deleted here slowly by these Reavers and these Dragoons. But the Reavers, actually, their effectiveness is going to drop because iamsacul's economy just took a big hit, where they're down to 16 probes now. And I don't think this is recoverable, because the Reavers cost money to make. Storm going down from NicePants. NicePants really trying to repel this attack, but the reinforcements from iamsacul coming in here. I think this is probably going to be the end relatively soon here. Other Dark Templar giving it a try, but the Observer is there to make sure that that cannot happen. Down to one gateway, NicePants goes ahead and gives the good game. So pretty good back and forth there. NicePants deflecting that first attack from iamsacul, getting the snipe on that shuttle that had the Reaver in it when the snipe happened, but then iamsacul able to just push down using the Reavers and then push into the natural and up into the ramp. Despite that high Templar counter on the mineral line, it just was too much damage to recover from. It's a great game from those two. And our last game here is going to include NicePants again. It's going to be NicePants and Mazur going at it, and it will be a Protoss versus Terran. So it looks like, I guess NicePants is going Protoss this season. I don't know what they went last season, actually. And I just assumed they were a Zerg player, I guess. But I know there are some players that are doing different races this season than what I've been seeing them play in other places. So it might just be very well a case of that. Either way, let's go ahead and get the next game loaded here. Right in the top right, and we're not doing these colors in the blue. The blue NicePants. Protoss, top right. Spawning in the red Terran down at the bottom left, we have Mazur. So Protoss versus Terran. We get to see this for a second time here. And last time, if I'm remembering the game right, Mazur did a pretty good job there, pushing it against the Protoss and taking bases, and managed to also take like this bottom left base down here. So see how NicePants plays the game here, going for in-base pylons, so no like forward gateway or anything like that, or proxy gateway. Got the start of the anti-zealot sim city here with the... Is that? Yeah, I think that's positioned right. It's just positioned higher. I think when I do it, I usually put it aligned with the bottom of the command center instead of aligned with the top of it, so it just like looks a little bit funky because it's closer to this cliff edge here, whereas it's usually down a little bit further when I do it. But yeah, barracks will fit in there just fine to make that nice and snug on both sides. And there you go, you got yourself a little bit of anti-zealot. And sometimes you can place a second, if you're facing really heavy zealot pressure, you can put a second depot here, because then the zealots would have to run all the way through your mineral line to get to the other side, and back and forth. You could also probably do like a second depot like here, and just make a permanent safe spot for a Marine to be in. So you've got some options there. No gas steal, as there's been no probe scout. Would think that you would want to scout at the latest with the probe that builds the gateway. I think you see some earlier scouts from Protoss in this matchup so that they can do, or not in this matchup, but I mean in this, well, this matchup, yes, but also this map, in order to perform, like, stealing the Terran's main gas, so that way they can't get to the factory as fast as they would want to. But NicePants just playing straight up game here, gets the gateway, now getting the cybernetics core, and now tries to block the ramp with the zealot, but the SCV will get in a second zealot on the way, and this first zealot is being sent off to the main of the Terran here. So Terran going to get all of the juicy scouting details here. Second zealot is out and is ignoring the SCV, going straight for the Terran main. Also, the third pylon in the main, but the Terran does not see that. So Mazur doesn't quite have that detail, but he knows that this zealot is coming. So it goes ahead and places the SCVs on the ramp to block. Which actually is an interesting twist because they have the like anti-zealots in the city going, and they're electing to not utilize it. But now that they have 3 Marines, they are pulling one of the SCVs back, and then I don't know why that one went there. It like went back and then I was like, okay, maybe it's being added back to the ramp, and now it's down here. I'm not sure exactly what was going on there, but that SCV is just, sometimes SCVs are just like, we're going to do what we want to do, not what you want us to do. But the Zealots are going to step forward. That SCV is going to go back while the other one body blocks a little bit for the Marines. And I think with the proper micro here, this should get cleaned up pretty well. The Marines are really taking some hits, though, before really falling back. And the Zealot might actually do some damage here. Manages to knock the Marines all the way down to just 1 left, but with just 9 hit points here, doesn't quite get a SCV kill and will fall. There was an engineering bay put in the natural to sort of slow things down, but unfortunately it gets destroyed instead of cancelled, so that's 125 minerals less that Mazer could have had. I think like you'd get like 100 back for that. NicePants gets there a little bit early with the probe, but that's alright. Better to be early than to be late. Goes ahead and throws down that natural nexus. Meanwhile, Bunker has to come down for Mazer as the Dragoons are out on the map now, and you're gonna need that if they choose to be aggressive with them. They are just staying home though. There is a Vulture out on the map, and mines are on the way, but NicePants doesn't really know that yet. But still just choosing to be defensive just in case, and they will catch. Oh, they do catch that Vulture, so there aren't going to be any mines laid on the map. Like, mines is finished, and we've got a tank, and the Vulture is dead. That's something you typically don't want to have happen. The probe gets a kill. That poor Marine before the probe can be eliminated. That is just unfortunate for that Marine there. This natural is going to come up online for both players here. NicePants is just a little bit faster, getting that observatory as they did see that Vulture that they caught at the natural, so they know that mines can be a possibility. And so at this point, it is better to just sit back until you have that observer and can safely move your Dragoons across the map without worrying about a mine popping up and absolutely destroying them. There's now a Vulture out on the map, which can go ahead and lay some mines, get some reconnaissance. Nice. Some recon done. I'm just going to say recon. The engineering bay being started here. I think that's at an okay time, too. I mean, that Vulture came in, saw that there is indeed a natural, so, you know, there's a lot less likely chance of any shenanigans happening. Does this Vulture, let's see, it laid like 2 mines. Okay, it does still have a mine, so it can come up into this 3rd, which it looks like is where it's going for, and lay a mine there, so that way they will know when the space is going down, and an observer will have to be brought over, or a ground unit that would trigger that mine in order to clear it, so that way the Nexus can be put down there. And then the Vulture is just going to go home. Or not. It's Caster's Curse, I'm going to say something, and then it's just going to stop there. But it looks like NicePants actually wants to expand over here, and I don't like this. I'm just going to say, I feel like this could be a Nexus now. Now you could throw down a pylon. Now you could throw down another pylon. Now you could throw down your 3rd pylon. So that Nexus could have been started way sooner, but instead you get the 3 pylons, and then this Nexus is just way late, and the money keeps getting spent. You're not saving up for the Nexus, so that's why I feel like if you're expanding like this, you should throw down the Nexus first, then throw down your pylon wall. Because what are you, like, you don't have cannons. This is still going to just be able to sit there and smack at the pylons, and now we're even getting the cannons before we get the pylon, and the probe is in range to get sniped and does get sniped, so like, yeah, I feel like and now you've got to send units down there anyway. Nexus first would have been a much better choice. That 3rd base down there would be up, and then we're doing the same thing here again. But then again, I'm a Terran player, so take what I say with a grain of salt, but I have seen a coach mention that. There may be nuances that I am missing, though, to that statement they made, which I think tends to happen. One of the great things about this league, that mine got picked off, and then the cannon there cleared that mine, are the coaches that the players get to spend time with and ask, hey, can you look at replays? Can you help me with tips and stuff like that? And there's a lot of little nuances in this game, little things that you can do to improve different aspects of your play and things that you might not even think of. Just like little things like, oh, well, you can get this like 2 seconds faster if you do X, Y, Z and stuff like that, that can end up making huge differences sometimes. And so, yeah, there was a coach I was talking to who mentioned on a replay that I asked them to look at once, they were like, yeah, that player could have got their Nexus, like they should have just got their Nexus and then their pellets. Look how late the Nexus is. And I was like, oh, okay. Then, like I said, there may be nuances to that weren't really expressed in that statement from the coach, or that I just missed. Especially being the Terran player, and that comment was towards a Protoss player. But we have a Vulture. Oh, but doesn't much happen. Oh wait, one Vulture does get in. Will it get a couple kills here? It's 1 kill. And a 2nd kill. So 3 kills for the Vulture run there. Not too bad. Not too bad. With all of the Protoss units back home, except for these 2 Dragoons, though, not as good as it could have been. But looking at the supplies right now, the supplies are pretty even, which, in my opinion, is going to favor the Terran. The worker counts are pretty low overall for the players. But I think at this level of play, that's kind of to be expected. That's definitely one of the aspects of play that can really push you forward, although it's, it by itself is not going to propel you to further heights, but worker production is a really big aspect of the game of StarCraft, right? And mastering that skill of being able to just pump out workers and then knowing when to stop pumping out those workers can really make a big difference. And I've noticed as a player sometimes I can feel when I don't have enough workers, because I'm like, I should be able to make stuff. I should be building up a bank because my macro is not good enough to keep the money down, and my money is down. Something is wrong. I don't have enough workers. So I know that feeling all too well. I like the mine coverage that's happening here. Mazur is gonna know when NicePants goes to move out. There is a little bit of a gap in the knowledge here. NicePants could take this lower route, but that would be really weird for Protoss to just take that route for no reason, if there's no Terran presence out on the map this far. The probe transfer is seen there, but the probe transfer down here, I think, was not seen. So 3rd base online for Mazur here, and the 3rd and 4th bases online for NicePants. So looking like a pretty good game here. Mazur is watching for this base to get taken, and I don't think realizes that this base, well, no, they saw the pylons, so they have to know that this base is going to be the 4th base, and we have a couple scans going down, checking the gateway count, checking the tech. Sees the Templar archives, but doesn't see any starport yet, so from the Terran perspective, I think you're thinking, okay, well, there's probably going to be High Templar coming out. With Storm, I'm going to have to deal with that, but I don't have to worry about Arbiters or a carrier switch that I can tell, so no need, really. I mean, you probably still want a couple of Goliaths, just in case there is, shuttles that are going to come try to deal with your army. But right now, Mazur is looking in a really nice position, while NicePants is up on the base count, which is where Protoss wants to be. Just look at the supply count right now. I mean, they're about equal workers, and Terran has more supply than Protoss. It's never a good situation to be in, right? For Protoss, you typically want to be able to be higher up on the supply count and be able to reproduce your supply just a lot quicker. And we have a large Vulture move out here, looking to lay some mines and maybe try and find an opening to Rouse. There's another scan that went down. Check this 3rd base here, sees the pylons and the cannon, knows that can't be hit. I'm just going to go ahead and throw down mines on this high ground, which is a nice spotter point here. One of the utilities of mines isn't necessarily to do damage, it's also to spot for you as Terran. So that way you know, oh, we're just going to run in with all of these. There are enough vultures that some damage can be done. Catching some probes, too, that we're transferring out. Nice storm going down for Protoss here, though, but yeah, those vultures are just going to be deflected. But yeah, like the mines can be good spotters just to keep tabs of where the Protoss army is coming from, so that way you know where they're going to be and where they're going to approach from, right? Because if you, like, taking this third, for instance, like, this is a wide area you have to defend, right? You have to defend, like, this open space here, and if you just try to devote all of your resources appropriately, then one of those spaces is going to be weaker, right? But if you see in advance, oh, all of the Protoss has moved up onto this high ground and has come up to this high ground, then you know, okay, well, they can't really hit from here, right? Maybe a small force, but their large force is over here, so I'm going to reinforce this more heavily. And then if they move and you see them, like, you know, you have some mines over here, you see, oh, those mines are activating, then you can just shift your defense around. So mines very, very useful in this matchup. And very important to sort of try and use those for your recon purposes. There's Dark Templar in the Protoss army, which can be good to mix in. We don't have any science vessels, so there's no mobile detection. We actually have the move out here from Terran. They're going to go ahead and pressure this top base. They're still at 1-0. +2 attack is a little bit late, but they're going to go ahead and pressure this. And I like they have the 2 tanks here, and I like they have this nice arc for when the Protoss army comes to engage. There's mines. I don't like the vultures sitting this far in front, though. So I'm a little bit worried about that, but the, ooh, that tank taking some splash damage from their own tanks. Protoss looks to be trying to engage this now and seems to be wanting to come from below. We'll see how this move works. This army needs to start moving up here. And yeah, the vultures all just melt because of where they were positioned. This is something that I was making a mistake with for a good while, too, with the army, and so I think Protoss should be able to clean this up. Oh, wait, no, these mines! Oh! They're gonna clean it up, but those mines were huge! So many Dragoons just fell there. But, wow. Just... oh, that... wow, those mines had so much value there. But yeah, like when you're engaging with the Protoss army, as Terran, you want those vultures to be mixed in with your tanks, because if they're out in front, your tanks are going to be targeting the units that are right next to your vultures, and then you're just going to see your vultures melt, right? If they're mixed in with the tanks, then the tanks can fire on things like Dragoons that are further away, and then the vultures can focus on anything that gets close to the tanks. So that's typically how you want to be using your vultures in your Terran mech army when actively engaging with Protoss. Because yeah, for a while like I was playing games against Protoss, I'm like, my vultures like melt. I put them into position and then I look away to macro for like 2 seconds and then I come back and my vultures are all gone. And well, it's because they would just get splashed by the tanks and wouldn't be able to do anything. Let's see if okay, so the Dark Templar are going to start attacking here, but Scan, that tips off that they're there. Scan goes down, they get cleaned up kind of quickly. Protoss was positioning here, I think, to try and press, but got kind of cut off there. The Terran just having stronger macro this game, I think, really. Has a good factory count here. Could maybe use one more add-on since they're on the 3 bases. Oh, the Zealot up here. Oh, the splash damage hurting the SCBs a bit, but yeah, I think in this particular game, Terran just has like the better macro here. Granted, they're having a bigger bank buildup, but like we look at the supply, it's 132 to 164. And while Protoss had one and cleared this army, just their supply was slow to refill. They're working on a carrier switch now, but and there were a couple of Stargates there, so Terran should know that there's probably going to be an attempt to a carrier switch here. And with that should be be getting Goliaths relatively soon, but looks like they just see the Stargates and are not wisening up to the carrier switch. But, I mean, Protoss, while this base gets eliminated, they still have the 3rd base down here, and they're actually getting their 4th base. Terran looks to be trying to just target expansions. Protoss maybe... I don't know if that probe was being sent intentionally or if that probe was on gather commands, but... Ooh, Vulture's running in here to the natural, gonna clean up the probes here very quickly. And the situation is just spiraling out of control here for NicePants. Yeah, all the probes are now gone down to 33 workers. And now an Arbiter being made, so 1 carrier and then an Arbiter. But I don't think, NicePants is really going to be able to recover from this. They are getting another base down here, but there is now a detachment of the Terran mechs here, just coming along this path. That's probably going to be targeting... Actually, I don't know about this particular base here. And I like this Dark Templar positioning here. I believe that would block the ramp and stop units from going up there. Ooh, but that probe transfer. Oh, let's see. Yep, and this was seen in a pro game. The fact that you can put tanks down here, and it can actually shell both bases if you've got vision. So, I was wondering if the Terran might, if Mazur might try to do that. I don't know if they saw that game or not. You can actually get them like all the way down to here, I think. And then they can fire on both locations pretty easily, but... I think the Protoss is going to try one big attack here, but still, if you just look at the supply, it's 121 to 200, 150 supply about an army for Terran, and about 100 supply. It's a little less than the numbers I stated on both sides. But the tanks aren't sieged here, so this might do a little bit of damage, but... Mines going off. There is a carrier, but there's some Goliaths being made. The barracks here is distracting the Protoss army edge. The macro reinforcements just being a little bit too much. I like what NicePants is doing, but just, you know, probably just with some more games under their belt with Protoss and maybe with some direction from some coaching. And, you know, I think their play will improve pretty quickly, so I'm looking forward to seeing more games from them in the regular season. And NicePants will go ahead and give the GG there, having lost the lower right base and the carrier. So very good games through, you know, this whole group. It was a lot of fun to see. I especially loved that Protoss vs. Zerg that we saw. I think that was iamsacul and Effay, if I'm not mistaken, where it was really down to the wire. You know, really looking forward to what the regular season is going to be. I don't think I'm going to be doing any more casts myself this week, but we will have next week where there's going to be no games, no next week to cast. So I think all the casters are going to be doing like a mix between week 1 games and week 2 games next week. So I'll probably try and get like 1 or 2 casts. Around the same time, I'm trying to get more EU-friendly casts out this season, so hopefully I'll be seeing y'all around this time frame then. Again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate the support, and if you're interested in CPL, you can join, go ahead and join the Discord. While Season 8 is underway, team selection is currently going on, you can still sign up and be put on the wait list, and so if any spots open up, which inevitably happens through the course of the season, you might have an opportunity to get placed onto a team. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and until next time, take care everybody.